Right now is a good time to look at some basic music. Right now I'd just like to show you the different kinds of notes, and I'd like you to memorize what they are, what they look like, and how many beats they are. Here we have a whole note. It's just a circle. A whole note equals 4 beats. Here's the half notes. Okay, a half note equals 2 beats. I have 2 together, so you have 2 beats and 2 more beats would be 4 beats. Quarter notes are 1 beat each. And here's what they look like. Eighth notes, 2 eighth notes equal 1 beat. That might be a little bit of an easier way to think of it. So you have 1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats, 4 beats. 16th notes, 4 16th notes equals 1 beat, or 1 count. And you also have 32nd notes. 8 32nd notes equals 1 beat. Now if you notice, for eighth notes, 1 line, or down here as you see, a 1 flag, okay? 1 line or 1 flag would give you the indication that it's an eighth note. 16th notes, you'd have 2 lines attaching the notes, okay, or the stems. 2 lines or 2 flags is a 16th value, and as you could see here, 3 lines, or it could be 3 flags, will be a 32nd value. The stems in the note, which are these here, could be in the upward direction or downward direction. And you may want to copy these in a sheet of paper or just memorize them by looking at the tape and reviewing it. Right now I think it would be a good idea to take a further look at some music basics. Here we have what is called the staff, which is 5 lines and 4 spaces for the most part. Line 1 is on the bottom, line 5 is on the top. And we also have the 4 spaces in between. We have lines that are sometimes written above and below the staff, legger lines. That is just for higher or lower tones on certain instruments. If there's tones that are further higher in the scale or lower in scale relative to this scale, there's legger lines that are used to show the highness and the lowness of those notes. Here we have what is called measures. Each area here is a measure. A measure is divided by things that we call bars. Okay? Sometimes people do call these bars just sort of at random, but technically these are called measures. These are the bars that separate the measures, and these are double bars. Double bars are usually used to denote an ending of a piece, particularly the one with the large double bar and the small double bar. At the beginning of each music piece, you have what is called a clef and a time signature. There are 2 more frequently used clefs. This here is called the G clef, or the treble clef. And this clef here, which is what you'll usually see your drum music in, is called the bass clef. Okay, the bass clef or F clef. Also, you'll see a time signature, which is numbers that denote the time of a particular music piece. In this case, I have 4/4, which means 4 beats to a measure, and a quarter note gets 1 of those beats. The top number is the number of beats in a measure, and the bottom number implies what kind of note gets that beat. 4/4 is 4 beats to a measure, and a quarter note gets 1 beat. 2/4 is 2 beats to a measure, and a quarter note gets 1 beat. If you had 3/8, it would be 3 beats to a measure, and an eighth note gets 1 beat. Also, sometimes instead of saying 4/4, you'll see a C, which is common time. It means the same thing as 4/4. So there are many different types of time signatures and things that denote the music piece time, but for now I'd like you just to look at these things and memorize them and become very familiar just for what they are. Right now I'd like you to look at some more rudiments of music, I guess you can call it. One of them is going to be signs of repetition, and we'll also look at some rests. For signs of repetition, I'd like you to take a look at this portion of the sheet to start off. When you have 4 notes, and I won't be playing these examples, I just want to give you an idea of what repeat signs look like, some different repeat signs. When you have 4 notes like this, and then you have a slash going through 2 measures, with the dots just like that as shown, this would mean the same thing as this. In other words, this means to repeat the 2 previous measures. Okay? So you got a slash or this repeat sign through 2 measures. It means to repeat these 2 measures. So this is the same thing as this as far as playing value. In this example here, it's basically the same thing except you're repeating one measure. You see the repeat sign of that type? This means repeat the previous measure. So again, here and here, they mean the same thing. In this example here, we have eighth notes in this case with some slashes in that measure. That just means repeat what you have here, repeat again, repeat again. So this and this are the same thing. The way it's written, the way it's played. When you have a staff like this with double bars and double dots like that, that means to repeat what's in between this area. So you can have a bunch of music measures before this, but once you get to this area, you play up to here, you repeat back to this repeat sign, and back up to here again, and then you would normally continue. Usually this means to repeat something just one time. If these double dots weren't here, if they were missing, and you come up to a repeat sign, you go back to the beginning and just continue playing from that point. Let's take a look at some rest values. Here, as you've already seen previously, we have a whole note, which equals 4 beats. In this case, we have a whole rest, which equals 4 beats. It looks like an upside-down hat, or a hat's off if you want to think of it that way. Whole note's 4 beats, whole rest 4 beats. Half note, 2 beats. And then where you have the marking on top of a line, or it looks like the hat is on, is 2 beats. So whole note's 4 beats, a 4-beat rest. Half note is 2 beats, a 2-beat rest. Here you have a quarter note is 1 beat. Here's a quarter rest. And obviously a rest means you just rest. You play nothing for that time period. You just rest. Eighth note, 1 line or 1 flag here. Eighth rest. I like to think of it as one little line or 1 slash going across that. So you can think of that 1 slash or 1 line as an eighth note. Eighth note, eighth rest. 16th note, 2 lines or 2 flags. 16th rest, 2 lines or 2 flags if you'd like to call it that. 32nd note, 32nd rest. In this case, you normally have a number above that type of rest, and that just means you rest that amount of measures. And that should do it for that portion.